Hello everyone and welcome to the next major tutorial here on Ducttapestuff. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a duct tape belt. And before we get started here, there are two users' birthdays that happen to fall on the making of this tutorial. They are Film Breakers and Paintball Head 03. So happy birthday to you two, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial on how to make a duct tape belt. Now we're going to get started with our first step here. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to find yourself a belt clasp or belt loop here that can work with a duct tape belt. Now this is the most popular kind here. It has like just this little piece here which goes obviously on the part of the belt where the holes are. So that's one popular kind. This is an old duct tape belt that I made a while back. So that's one really kind that you can use that's going to work really well. You can also use a kind of these two rings that are on a different kind of belt here. Basically these are just two half rings, and basically how the belt works is that, obviously it goes around your waist, but then it doubles back over here like this and just tightens up just like that. So you can use those two kinds if you have them. If you have like an old belt that has these two rings on it, you could just cut them off and then use them, cut apart the belt and then use those two belts, those two rings, and then you or if you have like something like this, you can take these off and then use it for your duct tape belt. So the first thing you do is you try to find a latch or a clasp like this that you can use on your duct tape belt. After that, if you find one of those, will be used starting on the duct tape belt here. Alright, so after you find your belt clasp, but then we're going to start working on the actual belt. Now you can, pretty much we're going to make one giant long strip of tape, but basically what you need to do that is to stick several strips together and then keep building off of that strip. Now you can pretty much start off with any size strips you want. I mean, you can start with 6-inch strips and then keep sticking them together, or you can start with little larger ones. I don't recommend you start with really long strips, because then the longer they are, the harder they are to work with, and it can wreak havoc with you if you're trying to stick them down correctly and efficiently. So these are about 12 inches long here, and what you're going to do is you're just going to line them up here, these two strips, and you're going to stick them directly on top of each other, just like that. Make sure you stick it down, try not to get any air bubbles or stuff like that. Now you'll notice that this is probably a lot wider than a normal belt, this piece of duct tape here. That just happens to be the width that the duct tape is. Most belts are about an inch and a quarter wide, so we're going to mark here on the ruler, the top here being at 0 of course. We're going to mark it at 1 1/4 inches right there. And then all I'm going to do is take my pair of scissors here and I'm going to cut this strip out just like this. Okay, just like that. So that's just an extra piece. We don't really need that right now. So that's the beginning of our belt. Now what we're going to do is we're going to keep sticking strips onto this to create our belt. So that'll be our next few steps. So basically, to continue on with this strip here, we're just going to take another 12-inch strip here for the purposes of this tutorial. We're going to overlap by about an inch or so. You're going to line up the top of it with the top of this strip here. Flip the whole thing over. And this is where it can get a little tricky, but we're just going to fold this part over here just so you don't have to snip any more pieces off. And just going to fold this so that it's even with this part of the strip here. So we're making it the same width as the rest of the belt, but just by doubling it over like this. Okay, so there you go, just like that. So you're going to come over right here. You're going to take your other 12-inch strip here, line it up just like you would on the other part, just like that, and then of course flip the whole thing over. And this part should be easier. You're just going to fold this back around just like this. And if you do get a little bit of sticky side showing, you can just trim that off, but just be careful that if it is a lot, you can probably cover it up with another piece of tape or a smaller piece of tape. You don't want to trim off too much, otherwise your belt is going to be really wide in one part and then really small on one part. So you definitely want to make sure that you do keep the same width as you keep going. Now the trick is to know when to stop making this strip, and I would probably use a belt that you already have that fits you really well, and that'll give you a good template of how long to make it, because you should use a belt that you already have. It fits around your waist. So we're just going to keep doing this, applying these 12-inch strips, for example, until we have the right size for the belt. So continue these steps and then start making your belt that way. Okay, so let's say for the purpose of this tutorial that this is your finished belt. Obviously it wouldn't be quite this short, it would be much longer than this, but this is going to be the same exact principle even though it is fairly short. You can cut the one end that's going to feed through the belt clasps to cut it like a little bit like a triangle just to make it a little more stylish. Basically what you can do is if you have your belt that you modeled this off of and that's the correct size and that fits you really well, you can use that belt, like say line it up here, and you would be able to tell where to cut the holes on this part. And you can cut the holes, you can probably use a hole punch, that might work, but you could also use like an X-Acto knife and or just make sure those holes cut out evenly and directly in the center of the belt. So you can cut those out on there. To do this part down here, this is the part where the actual clasp is going to go onto. So we have the clasp here. So to do the clasp here, this is actually doubled back on itself, and then that's the part that actually goes through the clasp. As you can see, this part does go through a hole in the duct tape, and then the rest of it is just wrapped right around it there. So to do that, all you would do is just fold this part back here. Obviously you would have this already in here. You'd cut a hole right there, which would be part for this here to go through, and then you would slide this part through, and then seal it up right there, and then you would end up with this right on here. And basically how this works, it's incredibly simple, just like a standard belt. You feed it through, and you put that right through there, and then it just goes right down there, just like that. So that's your duct tape belt. So that's a really simple thing to make. You're going to do it exactly the same way. Actually, it's going to be even easier if you're doing it for this kind of belt here. All you're going to do is just put these two rings on the side here and then just double back around it so that it just loops like that, and just stick it down like right here. So that's how to make two kinds of duct tape belts. Really simple thing to make, and you can make them obviously in a huge amount of colors and designs, so you can customize it completely to your liking. So that's how to make a duct tape belt. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you guys next time. So take care and have fun making a duct tape belt. Enjoy.